Hey guys, in today's video we're going to be talking about hemangiosarcoma. It is a rapidly growing, highly invasive cancer. It occurs pretty much exclusively in dogs. Quite common in the spleen, the right heart base, and the liver. My dog got it in her spleen. We immediately had surgery. We took the spleen out, had it looked at, found out it was this cancer. We realized that we didn't have a lot of time, and I got linked up with the right people online. Shout outs to the Facebook group, Hemangiosarcoma, and there's another lady named Carrie I want to give a quick shout out to who really went above and beyond and really led me down the path of figuring all this stuff out. So, said all that to say, we're going to jump into what I did to keep my dog alive a year after her diagnosis. Most dogs don't live 2 to 3 to 4 weeks, maybe 3 months at the most. That's the common diagnosis. However, Chloe is she's lived a year already, and we're hoping to keep going. There's a lot of dogs that live 2 to 3 to 4 years, and if you do the right things and you jump on it and act quick, but the key is that you have to make these decisions right away. You have to get your dog on these herbs. You have to get your dog's diet changed right away. You have to change things in your house. You have to get rid of chemicals, and we're going to go over all that right now. And first things first, we're going to go over some of the herbs that I did. So let's get started. The first one is turkey tail. This is a mushroom, and it's for immune support, and it's pronounced Tremedius versicolor. And the reason that's important is because there's another one we're going to go over in a second. It's very similar to this. So this is a cheaper version of the two. Turkey tail is a really good one. It crushes those tumors, and it's really good for the immune system. So that's number one. You definitely want to get this one. Number two, it's something called Yunnan Baiyao. Okay, I hope I pronounced that right. This is a Chinese medicine, and if you open it up, there's something in the center for the bleeds. This is specifically for the bleeds, and it stops bleeding. There's a little red pill in here that you give your dog if your dog is having an active bleed. And what's different about this cancer is your dog, usually with us, Chloe, my dog, she collapsed, and that's how I knew that she even had this cancer. But a lot of dogs will have bleeds. It's very common. They'll internally bleed, and they can die if you don't jump on it right away. And this can save your dog's life. This medicine right here is one of the best things, and I would say it definitely saved her life. So Yunnan Baiyao, I'm going to put some links in the description for you to get for you guys to get this stuff. But again, you want to give this to your dog. I'm going to put together a PDF for you, and more on that later. But because you want to read the doses and stuff and make sure you get it right. Most of these have doses on them, but keep in mind when you are in attack mode, it's very different from maintenance mode. So when your dog has cancer, you have to drastically change your dog's life right away. Okay, so you've got to change a lot of things. We're going to go over some more of that later. So let's move on to the third thing, which is immunity, and this one is pretty expensive. Okay, so this one's $98, pretty high, and you only get, I think, 60 capsules. So a lot of people compare these two and say that they're very similar. So the mushroom in this is Coriolus versicolor. So this one is Tremedius. I hope I'm pronouncing these right. They're very similar mushrooms from what I've researched. So if money's an issue, pick this turkey tail one, okay? But these are both great with this type of cancer and other cancers too. This one is good with other cancers, definitely. The fourth thing we're going to go ahead and talk about is turmeric. Turmeric. In my opinion, turmeric needs to be a part of your dog's regimen, even if your dog doesn't have cancer, okay? It's great for arthritis. It's great for anti-inflammatory situations. So it's also a tumor blaster. So turmeric is great for many things. Definitely good with cancer. Definitely good to do if you're sort of doing like a maintenance dose with your dog. All right, we're going to move right along into vitamin C. There are several different vitamin C's. I actually didn't use this brand when she first got diagnosed with cancer. I was using Dr. Mercola's Dr. Mercola's liposomal. And that's a really great brand. I read a lot about what the difference between liposomal and this vitamin C. If you can't afford liposomal, definitely just get vitamin C and high dose it. I was doing about minimally 3 to 6,000 a meal. Your dog is not going to get hurt from this. I've never heard of it. It didn't hurt my dog, so I can't. Full disclaimer: if this is not medical advice, by the way, and I'm going to put that down in the video description. But I have to say, I'm not giving you medical advice. If you have any questions, talk to your veterinarian. But vitamin C, there's lots of studies on it. Lots of studies on what it does to cancer, what it does to the immune system. I take vitamin C every day. I also take turmeric every day. Moving right along. The next one that we're going to go over is vitamin D3. Vitamin D3. This is what I gave my dog. If your dog is playful and goes out in the sun and gets vitamin D, that's great. Vitamin D3 is a cancer crusher. It's also a virus crusher. And there are a lot of studies that show that vitamin D, that cancer patients have low vitamin D in them. There's tons of studies. You can Google it. I will try my best to link everything that I'm talking about in the description. But vitamin D is very important with the protocol that we did. The next thing we're going to jump into is immune strengthener. This has lots of ingredients. I'm going to show you this. This is from I believe it's onlynaturalpet.com. So here are the ingredients: vitamin C, reishi, shiitake, cat's claw, maitake fruit, hope I pronounced that right, astragalus, decaf green tea leaf extract. I cannot pronounce that one. Coenzyme, selenium, vitamin A, vitamin E. There's so many. It's just packed full of things that are good for your pet. This can actually be used for a cat and a dog. And by the way, I would also put this up against cats. I would put this entire protocol. If I had a cat, I would do something very similar. Judging on what your pet weighs and their age and all of that, there's directions for use on here, and it has basically, if they weigh this is what you give them. You're not going to hurt them if you want to up the dosage for most of these. So I think with us, we did a higher dosage of vitamin C and turmeric and the turkey tail. And then once we realized that we were out of the woods with the cancer, once she kind of made it past the 3 to 4 to 5 month mark and she was out running around and playing, we decided to shrink the dose. So we went from kind of hard hitting 2 to 3 to 4 of these a day. You know, for example, I believe I was doing 2 to 3 of these per meal. So if your dog eats 2 meals a day, then that's going to be putting 6 of these in their body a day. It can get expensive, but again, that's why the turkey tail is a good option to save some money. Moving right along, we're going to now talk about milk thistle. Milk thistle. Milk thistle's role is for the liver to detox. Milk thistle was I think I gave it to her once a week during her protocol, and now intermittently I give it to her. It's great for detoxing the body. It's great for keeping the body in balance while you are fighting off this cancer, okay? The next thing we're going to talk about is colloidal silver. Now, if you don't know about colloidal silver, let me tell you, because there's some crazy misinformation about colloidal silver. I've been taking colloidal silver for years, personally. So I did a bunch of studies, and colloidal silver, not only does it kills viruses, it kills bacteria, it does boost immunity, but it also has healing factors. If you look in the war days, they used for the wounds of soldiers, they would use it on their wounds because it would clean it and therefore it would allow their bodies to heal a lot faster. So with her cancer, I would just drop 2 or 3 of these into the water. And that's something else we need to go over is the purified water. Make sure you're giving your dog purified water during this protocol. Distilled water is fine. Make sure it's clean. Make sure there's no fluoride. Make sure there's no pesticides. Nothing like that. You want to give your dog really good water, okay? So I would just drop a couple of these in her water. And again, in the beginning, you can hit it more aggressively. And then once you're out of the woods and past the 2 to 3 to 4 month mark, you can kind of taper down, get a checkup, see what the tumors are like, or see what, see what they tell you. I don't think we haven't even gone back to the vet. Chloe's been so healthy. Personally, I was a little scared to go back to the vet and get retested. We're going to go soon and just see where she stands, but she's at the year mark. That is magnificent. So what I'm doing is working, obviously. I don't want to get too egotistical and too carried away with it and think that, oh, we're completely out of the woods. So I do want to recommend getting tested. That's very important. And it all kind of comes down to money. A trip to the vet's office is always going to be, usually at least $100. So make sure you're ready to spend that. But what are our pets worth, right? These are our children. Moving right along, the last one that I'm going to go over is CBD. Now, this is a brand specifically for dogs. It's not important that it is for dogs. It's not important that the brand is for dogs. You can get CBD for humans and give it to your dog, as far as I have studied. Now, the thing about it is a lot of it is marketing, right? So they'll say, oh, it's canine for dogs, or oh, it's turmeric for dogs, right? And I found that with this, it's just a marketing ploy. It's just something that they want to do, and a lot of times they'll charge more for the doses for the dogs, I guess because pet owners just have all this money. But anyway, hemp oil is another one that you can use, and if you're not familiar, those two are very similar. The hemp oil and the CBD oil are very similar. So we're going to move right along. Actually, one last thing I'll say about either one: check the doses on there. With this, I believe I think I just did like a teaspoon or a tablespoon and just drizzled it over her food, which we're going to get to in a little bit. The hemp oil, I did not use hemp oil. However, hemp oil is excellent and should be added to your protocol. Guys, there's so much that you can do, and it's easy to get carried away. And that's why this video, I'm trying to keep it as short as possible. And we're quickly moving and going over stuff. And I'm going to put together a nice PDF and give you just a to-do list of all the research that I've done and things that have worked for me, things that I've seen work for other people. And so we're going to now talk about lifestyle stuff. We're going to move into that really quick because I think it is really, 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 really important what you're doing with your dog and their lifestyle, what you're allowing to be in your house. See, in my house, I never really used fragrances. I never used Febreze. I never used heavy laundry detergent. So for me, it wasn't a huge change. And I will say that little things like this get overlooked a lot of times because people say, oh, well, the cancer is returned. And, oh, do you really look at little things like the laundry detergents, for example, if they're full of chemicals and you're washing your sheets and then your dog gets on your sheets and then your dog has harsh chemicals in their system. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but you got to be extreme with this stuff. I mean, I stopped giving my dog flea medicine I think I stopped a couple of years before she got the cancer because I was giving it to her all the time. And little did I know that the flea medicine it's toxic. I mean, it's not healthy. Let's be honest, right? So a lot of the things that we give our dogs are not good for the dogs. It's not good for their health. It's not good for their immune system. So, which brings me to the next point. When I gave my dog baths, I would use this soap right here. It is Dr. Bronner's. Okay, it is a peppermint made from essential oil soap. It's all natural. This is as good as it gets in the world of natural, all natural. Smells great. My dog was very clean, and I didn't use all the synthetic cleaners. I didn't use any of that stuff because I didn't want to chance it. I did not want to risk bringing in harsh chemicals to my dog and into her body, right? Because I knew that we were up against a really steep climb with this cancer. Okay, moving right along. So we've talked about the water already. Let's talk about the pesticides and herbicides. Now, I've heard of dog owners pets getting cancer from pesticides. I believe I was talking to a friend a couple of days ago, and they were telling me that one of their friends' dog died, and they attributed it to the Roundup. They attributed it because they would spray it in their yard every day. Dog goes out. Think about it. Here we are. The dogs are way down here onto the ground. We don't think about it because our heads are in the sky, and we don't think about dogs' noses being down into the grass and smelling everything. But the truth is that your dog gets into everything. So you've got to be really cautious about what you leave out, what is in your house, what fragrances and stuff you're using. So if you're using pesticides in your house to spray for pests, try to switch to non-toxic. Even the non-toxic ones, I don't really think are good for your dog. They're better than the alternative, but I would still try to get as non-toxic as possible. If you have a cockroach problem and you have to do these things, maybe try setting out little other glue traps and hiding them instead of spraying, right? So there's other ways to get around it. So that's one thing. The other thing is in your yard, if you're spraying your yard with these herbicides and things that you're trying to kill plants with, I would stop that right away. Your dog, you can't stop your dog from going out and smelling it. Your dog is going to do it. It's a dog. So for the sake of your dog's life, I'm telling you, put it on pause. I believe strongly that these chemicals that we are just it's become the norm for us to use. We see people out just spraying their lawn, and we call the pest guy comes over and sprays, and it's normal and it's a part of life. And all these things I personally believe attribute to cancers, and they attribute to your dog getting sicker. So what else? Let's see. We got one more thing we're going to go over before we wrap this up, and that would be I used oils, and I used a little bit of, in her water, I would use, we got to go over food as well. So I would use apple cider vinegar. I would drop a little bit of apple cider vinegar. What that does in her water was it would alkalize her body. And if you can alkalize your body, your dog's body, disease really has a hard time living in alkaline, right? Alkaline versus acidic bodies. Now, if we're talking about the dog food and what the dog is consuming, you definitely want to keep that as green as possible. You want to keep carrots in there. For us, we did carrots, we did spinach every single meal, high loads of spinach. Okay, so I would just take a huge, just two handfuls of spinach. I would put it into the ground beef because I was doing mostly keto. Now, there are people that think plant-based is better. I would agree with that. I agree that you can go plant-based or you can go keto. I think they both are very good choices. For me, I just chose keto with carrots and with the exception, I guess it's not technically keto because I do believe carrots have carbs in them, but for us, it was more about getting away from the kibble. So if that could be sort of your number one goal, get away from kibble, I think you're going to be okay because the kibble is so highly processed and it's heated and it's not good. So it's not good. I've heard, I could talk ad nauseum about how bad kibble is and how that's become the norm and how it's just companies marketing to us. And they're like, well, the dogs can really consume terrible food for them more than humans. In other words, like if we were to eat that for 10 years, it would kill us, but dogs can handle it more. So yeah, they can handle it, but do you really want to push them to their limits with their stomach and the way their body absorbs all this food? I actually had a friend of mine, and rest in peace to their dog, very sweet dog. Their dog died from the grain-free dog food. So their dog was consuming this, and they thought they were doing their dog justice, and they didn't know any better. And a lot of us don't. I didn't know any better 2-3 years ago. I didn't know any of this stuff. So it's all a learning process. But I really think that dog owners, they buy the kibble because it's easy and convenient. We were using a brand. I was using a brand called Ollie. I'm not sponsored by them. It was expensive. It was about $10 a day-ish, give or take, depending on what your dog consumes. But we were spinning that, and it was just ground beef with carrots and peas and a bunch of other vegetables mixed in, and I would add in bone broth. Then I would sprinkle in her herbs, right? So I would take these herbs and I would just sprinkle them on top, and that's how I would get the herbs in her, and I would get nutrition in her body and let her body heal from the inside out. And I would also try to let her get as much vitamin D as possible. And she took it like a champ. My dog actually survived a house fire as well right after she got the cancer. So she's quite the trooper. She's in there napping right now, or I would bring her in here and introduce you guys. But I think that's going to wrap up this video. Do want to say thanks for listening. If you have any questions, leave in the comments. Once again, I want to give a shout out to all the people that have helped me along the way. There are 2 Facebook groups. I'm going to link you to them. And there's lots of information. There's lots of people that can probably help you along the way. There's protocols that you can probably follow. I've got my protocol that I've put together that I really think is just an all-encompassing protocol. I think that it's very rare what happened with me and my dog, and I realize that, and I'm grateful. I really am grateful. And if I can help anybody out there, I will. So leave me a question in the comments, and thanks so much, guys. We'll see you on the next video.